This week, Florida rapper Julio Foolio was shot and killed. When does the violence stop in hip hop? We're here to talk about that today. Also, Kendrick wins the beef. What does Drake do from here? We're going to talk about that and more. Stay tuned.
Arkatech Beatz.
What's up, everybody? It's Arkatech Beatz Music Business Podcast. We are your host, platinum producers, Arkatech Beatz. I am Juggernaut.
I am Mike Trauma D.
And together we make this super duper group, man. Arkatech Beatz. If this is your first time here, make sure that you're following the channel. Make sure you're subscribing and getting those notifications. And, you know, we wanted to jump into this, some sad news about, you know, the Jacksonville rapper, Julio Foolio. He was shot and killed on his birthday, right? Which was, June 23rd. It's been about a week now, when he was shot and killed. And, you know, we've been wanting to talk about it because our channel, over the years, we've been talking about the violence in hip hop and really trying to tell artists how they can transition from the street into the music business and to leave the street when they get into the music business. And it just seems like more and more artists are just not doing that, or they're using the street to kind of fuel their music industry. And this seems to be the result of it. If it's not a shooting, if people aren't being killed, then people are being locked up or they're being charged with RICO situations. So we've really been trying to tell artists how to navigate this thing, man. But, you know, we want to send condolences to his family. It's definitely another loss in hip hop again. But Mike, what's your thought on this thing, man? And what's wrong with these artists that are basically taking this route in terms of creating this kind of music that kind of antagonizes the ops and creates this kind of back and forth where people keep losing, you know, folks on both sides?
One thing that comes to mind is social media. And, you know, what does it take? Let's look at it from the standpoint. What does it take for an artist to become popular? You know, what does it take for artists to be famous? What does it take for any type of notoriety? And it makes you wonder, are artists doing this purposely, these things purposely? Because that seems to be the route to get to get attention.
Right.
You know, we all know that negativity sells. Negativity brings eyes. You know, we could even go back to when reality TV, like when it really started to come popping, like Housewives, Atlanta, and all of those things, and how much views and how much success it got. And it's because of the negativity, you know, to be honest, because of the drama, and people gravitate to drama. And if you're a driver and you drive down any highway, you see an accident, the whole other side of the highway is slowing down to watch, causing traffic. You love to look at a good accident. You love to look at drama. Love to look at negativity. So it brings me to say, you know, all the dissing and disrespecting people, is that part of the getting the attention? Is that part of the marketing to get attention, to be famous, to sell records? And, you know, at what cost? You know, is this part of it? Is this part of the game?
It's becoming more and more prevalent. We're watching it happen in real time. And to your point, the way social media is working or is engineered is the most outlandish things gets the most views.
Yeah.
So when I started to kind of dig into this situation with Foolio and start to really look at his music and look at the things that he was doing to get attention,
Mm-hmm.
it was a lot of disrespectful music.
Yeah.
Music was very disrespectful. talking about dead ops, like in the graveyard.
Yeah.
It was really disrespectful. It's one thing to do it for attention. It's one thing to try to take credit for somebody else's demise. And if you're trying to take credit for it kind of inadvertently to try to get attention, like I don't know if that's the way, and I don't know if these
it's absolutely not the way.
Yeah, if these artists have to understand that it's dangerous, trying to take those kind of things and insert them into your music for a reaction or just to try to go viral.
I'll give you an example. Look at remember 6ix9ine and what he was doing.
Yeah.
And he was going around dissing people, showing up in neighborhoods and, getting video and it's garnered him at that time a lot of attention. And it was to a point where it was like, wow, that shit worked. Nobody did anything. It really works. He's everyone knows who he is now, regardless if you liked him or not. Are people following behind that and trying to top that and saying and doing the most outlandish things? I don't know. Like I don't know. It comes to a point where you don't know what's real anymore or what the purpose was. Do these things start out as trying to get attention and they turn into real beefs? Or what are these beefs already going on and now it's just so happens that, these guys are artists and now it's in the public's face?
It's crazy, man, because the way that they're trying to frame it now, you got the young ace artists. They're trying to frame it as if these are the two factions that are going back and forth, right? This is what the media is trying to frame it. I'm not trying to. Allegedly, this is what how the media is framing it, as if it's two different. These two guys will be going at it, or these guys are the opposite of each other. And now you got another record from Young Ace that kind of is making reference to the Julio Foolio death, because of course in his new video he has like a bottle of Don Julio, and
Right.
the way that he's the game over and everything, and he's making these references.
But is this marketing?
Again, that's what I'm saying. But is it just marketing and trying to capitalize off of the event that just happened? And then the question is, is this the right way to do it? And you've already said this is not the right way to do it because it puts him at risk. Because there are people on the other side that are going to feel disrespected by it, and they're going to want to retaliate. And then the other question is, does he put himself at risk by making reference to these things as if he's the person that pushed the button allegedly, and does he put himself at risk with law enforcement?
Yeah, you do all of those things, and that's why I said it's not the right thing to do, because all of those reasons you put yourself in harm's way, you put your family in harm's way, anyone around you in harm's way, and you open yourself up for legal ramifications as well. So, like, I get it, but I don't get it. I get the fact that you're an artist, and your job as an artist is also to make sure that you have content and that the content does well. So in your head, if you're like, hey, this is a great opportunity, there's going to be, this is promo that you can't even pay for.
It's crazy.
Like negativity, like even our Drake and Kendrick podcast, like the negativity on that pod and the comments and the way that pod out of a lot of our podcasts, here we are, we have podcasts where we give him free game, giving good advice, giving tips, do this, do that. Damn, they're preaching you or giving you the game. And those pods will do whatever numbers it does, but then you talk about beef, the negativity, the Drake and Kendrick and the comments, like those are the ones that's going viral. All of the negative talk is going viral, and it's just crazy how the algorithm just works with some of this stuff.
It pushes the negative. Like that is what it's meant to do. Like that's what it seems to do. Because to your point, those those posts are like they're getting such vitriol, and I'm just saying to myself I'm like, man, like where was all of this engagement when we were giving you the jewels?
Yeah.
Where was all this engagement when we were trying to tell you how to make it into the music business?
Yep.
Like where was all of the engagement? Where was the engagement when we were talking about music publishing and copyright and registering your songs and how to get paid?
All the good stuff.
Where was the engagement? No, the engagement started to come. Pause, but the engagement started to arrive when we started talking about the Drake and Kendrick beef and what we liked and what we didn't like about it.
Yeah.
We didn't even really choose a side. It was just that certain things that I didn't agree with. And these folks went crazy. So when I look at that and I go and I look at that and I'm like, man, like, would these guys really go that far to capitalize off of people's death? Yeah, I guess so. I guess in this business now of social media, it's like guys are using anything to garner attention. And even if it means, making fun of ops and the graveyard and all of that stuff, which would be putting your life and your family at risk, because it's a street business now, man. Like you're really disrespecting people. You're disrespecting the dead.
And people are hurt, man.
People are hurt, and hurt people. You know that.
Yeah. People are hurt. People are angry. People are dealing with things, and we're in a time now where mental illness is a thing. People aren't okay.
Yep.
People are going through things. People are having a hard time coping with life. Coping with struggle, and then add in the mix of a loss of loved ones and things of that nature. People are not okay. Society and the economy and everything that's going on is just a freaking dark ass cloud. So people are not okay. So when you hear an artist is disrespecting, a family, a loved one who passed away violently, how else are you supposed to feel? You want that person to feel what you feel. You want some sort of get back, and I understand that feeling. I understand that, and we're all human beings, and it takes a strong individual to be able to look past that and say, this person is just doing it for this. This person is doing it for the cloud,
for clickbait.
It would take someone with some real foresight and really understand things and really be in touch with not just the emotions but just the way this business goes to kind of just foresee that and kind of look over and be like, nah, I'm not going to. That's just they just talking the talk, And you got to understand, a lot of these artists are young too. I think that's one of the craziest things. These artists are young, and they're making decisions now that could either impact them for the rest of their lives or just cut it short.
It was something. It was something that you said before we got on screen when you said basically Foolio looked tired. That it looked like he was tired of avoiding or looking over his shoulder, and for his birthday, he was kind of moving in a non-regular fashion where he was posting his location. He was maybe buzzed a little bit, and he was online a lot telling people where to show up, and people were in his comments saying, hey, don't show up there, something bad's gonna happen. And it was almost as if he was like kind of antagonizing folks. Like, yeah, come see me. If you are you gonna, are you gonna really pull up? Like he was testing to see if they're gonna pull up. Because I seen one video, it was like, yeah, we about 20 deep, and he was showing that he had an entourage, and he was basically showing that he had his muscle, and it was like basically it was kind of like antagonizing the ops, like, yeah, come on, show up. I got 20 folks with me. We here, and it just looks crazy to know that that now all of that stuff happened, and it's just like, man, like why would you put yourself at risk? And then when I'm looking at other interviews, he kind of normalized the behavior. Like, these guys are normalizing this life, meaning I got shot before. It's no big deal. This type of stuff happens. My car's been shot up before, and I'm just like, like, what about maybe let's say, for example, maybe I'm able to deal with it, but what about everybody else that's around me? Everybody else may not be able to deal with that kind of heat, and to try to, maybe everybody else is not ready to die in that type of situation, So I don't know if these guys are really thinking this stuff through, even though you might be comfortable with what's going on. But what about everybody else? What about their families? What about their mothers, their sisters, their brothers? Like, are you taking in consideration everybody that has to be around you to support your career and how you put them at risk?
This man has been in 4 separate shootouts. So shot 4 times.
That we know about. Yeah, allegedly.
Now, usually, if you've been in 4 incidents like that, you will be moving a little bit more strategic after everyone. You'll be tightening up, whether security or tightening up. I saw an interview of him talking about gun laws and how important it is, if you use your weapon, because he says he's a registered firearms holder, and how important it is that if you shoot in self-defense or whatever the case may be, that how you got to put your gun down, you got to let the police come, you got to tell them this, that, and the third, you got to have your information. And he's when he was speaking, I was like, he sounds like he knows what he's talking about. Like he didn't come off as dumb. He came off as this guy seems to know what he's talking about and knows the rules and the laws and everything. But what I can't understand is if you've been shot at 4 times, like why would you? And you normally don't get drunk. Why would you get drunk? Why would you post your location over and over? Why would you be in the neighborhood you're not all that familiar with? And it's just it's crazy to me. It's almost like you're inviting it, or you're letting your guard down, or you're saying, you know what, I'm tired of looking over my shoulder. I'm tired of being on point. I'm just gonna do whatever and deal with whatever. And I'm not saying that, I don't mean any disrespect to him or his family. I'm just trying to understand, like, why? Like, why? Like, did he do these things? Did he feel that, oh, they ain't gonna do nothing to me? I got shot 4 times and they can't shoot straight. They can't get me. I could be here over here with it. It don't matter. They're not gonna get me. Did he think his ops wouldn't travel? Did he think that, like, what? I really want to know what he was thinking at that time.
It could have been all of that or none of it, or not thinking at all. Like, this doesn't come across as a person who's thinking it all the way through. It doesn't come across as a person that even cares. Right? To be honest with you. And I think that is what the problem is. And I think what's happening too, and what I noticed with this particular death, the hip hop community been silent. Like, nobody's saying nothing. Like, I haven't seen anybody.
It could be the popularity too,
Yeah, I don't see anybody saying anything. I don't see anybody condemning the violence. I don't see I don't see like the stuff that I normally would see when a rapper gets killed this violently. That people would be talking like, "Hey, man, we need to kind of stop the violence."
I
And
think it's because of his participation in it. Also, I think has put some.
so basically, people are basically taking the position kind of like he had it coming.
Well, you saw the comments. The moment he posted his location and that he was having a function or having an event, comment after comment was saying, "Don't go. Somebody's going to get killed. Don't go. It's going to get shot up." Post after post after post was all just bad things, and that in itself was telling. That in itself was really showing that, listen, everybody knows this is a bad idea. Everybody knows, from your fans to everyone, know that you don't do this. Like, and it's sad because fans, we're supposed to be able to just enjoy the music. We're supposed to just we're worrying about the artists' moves that they're making because they could be killed at any time. Like, for a fan, that's wild. Like, have you ever thought of that as a fan of your favorite artist, that you would have to be concerned about those things as a fan? Like, if I'm able to DM an artist that I look up to, or whoever's music that I enjoy, if I see them posting something, I, as a fan, have to comment and say, "Hey, be careful. Hear this." That's just wild.
It's how he was moving, bro. Like that's really how he was moving, and again, rest in peace, man. This is really unfortunate, and um, when we started this platform, we created the platform to really educate artists, and we've been with a lot of artists who have been, we've worked with a lot of artists who have been lost in this street shit.
Yeah,
You know,
a lot.
a lot of artists, and we could, and we've always been saying like, hey, how do you get some people to be able to transition from having nothing to having that notoriety, fame, and money? And how do we get folks out of this, destructive cycle that they're in? And
These bad habits, man. You got to understand, and it goes back to one of our podcasts about, like, record labels purposely signing young artists because young artists don't fully have the maturity to make certain decisions. They don't fully have the experience. They don't fully have the know-how of everything going on in the music business. So these labels, they prey on these young artists. Hey, come here, sign this. You're reckless. You don't know what's going on. They put out the insurance policies on them. So if anything happens to them, they're still going to get their bag. And there is no transitional period. You see how military, they go to war, and when they come back to the States, they got to sit through some type of therapy, or they got to be reevaluated before they can re-enter society. When a kid gets $1 million deal, there's no person and there's no system set up that, hey, you got to start moving a different way. There's no classes. There's no 5-hour defensive driving course for that. There's no, all right, we got to have a meeting and this is how you got to move. You kind of got to learn on the fly. And I commend an artist like Little Baby who, had that mentality where he said, I gotta switch up. I can't rock how I was rocking before. I can't be in a certain places how I was before. I can't behave how I was behaving. And certain people definitely cannot be around me anymore. And that's just the way it is.
I think certain artists understand 21. A few certain artists that get it, but there's certain artists that have certain maturity levels, right? Because when we listen to this music showed a disregard and a lack of maturity because of the way that the content was and how antagonizing the content was and how disrespectful the content was. So he was kind of telling us that he didn't really give a fuck.
Yeah.
like he just didn't give a fuck. And I want to really put this out as a warning to a lot of these other artists. It's like, listen, you're cutting your career short. You're putting your lives at risk. You're putting your family's lives at risk.
Yeah, if you don't care about your life, that's one thing.
Yeah.
What about your loved ones?
Yeah, you
Like,
can't.
like I heard in the other interview, like, was a young in age, like his lady can't even necessarily ride in a whip rock car with him, per se. Like,
that's what they were saying. They were saying that in a nutshell that he's afraid to have people in the car with him because of what happened before, because he was involved in a shooting where 4 people were in the car with him, his brother included, and 3 people died in that shooting, and he survived the shooting.
Yeah.
Right?
Crazy.
Like, this crazy. Like, this is
after that.
Yeah, this is a crazy situation to be in as a young artist, right? And the amount of stress that creates for you. And then I was looking at Foolio's situation, and when I looked at Foolio's situation, I was even reading something earlier today saying his mother had been shot at, right?
Yeah.
So this is a serious thing. And I really want artists to really pay attention to, like, it's not worth all of this. It's not worth it. It really isn't worth putting your parents at risk. It's not worth putting your family at risk. It's not worth it. You have to find a different way to create the content that's going to be engaging, even though the algorithm is showing us otherwise. But we have to find a different way to garner attention than doing it this way, because it's destructive, not just to you, but the people around you. And I've heard that there have been multiple shootings since the incident occurred last week with Julio, as far as back and forth. And, it's being underreported, but they say basically it's like damn near a full-out war going on back and forth. So, again, this is the music business, folks, man. We can't have the music business in the street carrying over. And the other issue is that if the music continues to become more ignorant, if the music starts to become continues to be detrimental, it will get to a point where the labels will stop investing in it. It may not be immediate, but they will get to a point where it starts to become bad for business, and they'll start to back out of it, and they'll stop signing black artists, because that's what they're going to relegate the violence to, or they're going to categorize it to, just to black artists. And we're going to suffer for it, and we don't need any more hits economically coming from the system based on the behavior of a few, because they're going to just lump it all together.
Yeah. Wow.
Just a quick pivot. This episode of the Arkatech Beatz Music Business Podcast is brought to you by our own ebooks: the Songwriter's Guide to Song Registration, the Musician's Guide to Music Copyrights, the Musician's Guide to Music Publishing, and the Ultimate Guide to Forming Your Own Music LLC. All of these books are really essential for artists, producers, musicians to really learn how to navigate the music industry and how to really make a living off of your art. So just make sure you go pick those up. Those are available at arkatechbeats.com. We're going to put a link in the description, and thank you guys for supporting. Kendrick had the big concert, Amazon.
So
They're not like us. 6 times. All of the LA gangs united on one stage for the culture.
Fire. So
what does Drake do now?
that's a very good question. Does he not put out music?
I seen people putting out obituary pictures of him. I said, "Wow,
that's harsh."
The top artists of the last 15 years, they're putting out an obituary for a diss record.
I don't think in hip hop we've ever been here before.
No, this is new ground. This is new.
This is new ground.
This is a new ground, but I keep seeing this. This is what I keep seeing, and I keep seeing this narrative, which is it's going to take a concerted effort and a bunch of people to take Drake down. And I'm like, why do they want to take Drake down?
I guess they don't. It might be the business practices. It might be he messing with everybody's girl. It might be a bunch of things.
It's just crazy to me, like how it just flipped like a switch.
Maybe he's not a nice guy. Maybe
I don't think you can be at the top that long being a nice guy.
Yeah,
I don't think the two goes together.
Yeah, I think in order to be successful and get where you need to get, there got to be some shrewd business moves that you're willing to make.
Yeah, like I don't think being the top dog for that long, and people even get mad at me when I say that he's the top dog. The numbers suggest that he's the top artist.
And that's all we can go by. And that's all we can go by.
And that's all we can go by. So personal feelings aside.
Yeah, we're aware that numbers could be fabricated. We're aware of that. But what other gauge do you have to measure where he is? There's nothing else you can use. You have to use the charts. You have to use the streams. You have to use these things. We can't just go on just pure feelings and emotions like, oh, I feel he's number one. That has to be, you got to back that up with something. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. Does Drake come out with a new record that has nothing to do with Kendrick, or does he come out?
He just dropped a collaboration with another artist. I forget her name, but he just dropped another record, and it seems like it's doing well. You know what I mean? Like again, at the end of the day, this is Drake, man. This is the person that
it's new, or is it something that's been out? I did hear a record.
It's new. It just came out like a day ago.
Does he mind his own business now and just go back to what he's been doing?
It's called Camila Caballero, Hot Uptown featuring Drake. I'm looking at it, been released 2 days ago. It looks like it's already got 500,000 views.
Yeah, that record could have been in the can already,
No, I definitely think it was in the can, and whoever's her people who decided to release it now,
taking a hell of a risk. or again, they're trying to capitalize on what's going on
off of the attention.
Because what's going to happen is everybody's going to kind of listen to see if he's going to say anything slick about Kendrick in there somewhere. Like, is there a line in there he's going to say, because, you have people right now watching Drake's social media, and whatever he's posting, they're trying to decipher it as, oh, what does that mean? Summer League. What does that mean? I don't know. We kind of got to wait and see. I do hope that we can get more music from Kendrick. I would like to hear some. I don't want him to go away. I don't want him to put out this record, got all of this going on, and then close up shop for another year or two without not hearing from him. I want to hear some. You got the hit.
He's dropping the video.
He's doing the remix.
Right, so he's gonna milk it. This going the whole summer. Nobody's dropping nothing new.
Yeah, the summer is supposed to be Kendrick's.
Yeah, they're doing it the old music industry way, which is they want to try to take this record and keep it on that chart for as long as they can keep it on that chart.
I mean, that's the right way to do it.
I mean, it is, but it isn't, because in this new day, records don't last that long on the charts like they used to.
But this is not a regular record.
No. It's definitely not a regular record. It's definitely not a regular record, but it's again.
Yeah, every time I hear this record, like, I have to smile because it's just amazing of like the backing this record has got. Like, it's everywhere. Like I saw a BET commercial and it was on it. Like, my lady went to a job event. A job event that got nothing to do with no hip hop. And the presenter of this function walked out with that music playing, which was wild. So it's everywhere. Professionals, athletes, like everybody, private sector. This record, grandmothers are playing this record. Like it's everywhere, and um, we haven't seen a record like this since Takeover.
Ether. It would be more like Ether than Takeover.
Ether?
Yeah. Takeover was tough, but when that Ether came out, because what happens is no one expected him to
Nobody expected
nobody expected him to put a record out that would be that that hard.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Kendrick on this side. I don't think a lot of people thought that he was capable of putting something out like this. We knew that he could rap.
The Kendrick fans will disagree with you. The Kendrick fans will feel that he is the truth, and he will rise.
He don't have a record like this in his catalog.
No, he doesn't.
Don't. Like, let's just be honest. Like, people are not being honest about what he produces. He doesn't produce this kind of music like this.
Yeah, so but he does have those freestyles that shows a glimpse of him being able to get on other artists. So he does have like those liners, a couple one-liners, a couple freestyles here and there. So he had it in him. But
are we talking about lyrically, or are we talking about him being able to create the record that got this type of pop?
Talking about being able to battle an artist.
Oh no, I think he's always been capable of that. I just think that being able to put it together in a commercially viable bop like this, that's not really that's not something that he's been able to do. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like to take a record, because if you look at Drake, some of Drake's disses had a lot that, that back to back, those records had more bounce to them, and he knows how to create the balance of a bounce record or, a record that can do well in the club and be a diss. You know what I'm saying?
That's probably another reason why this record is kind of surprising in some senses, because musically, this joint could ring off in a club with no problem, and Kendrick doesn't aim for
Exactly.
That's not really his lane, but he's able to do it, and he did it very, very well. And even Nas had a hard time doing that, making a record that can still bop in the club without being like when he did the "You Owe Me," he got crucified for that record. The Genuine record,
it's still a good record. I know people listen, people crucify him for it, but look,
comments get them.
Hey, look, listen, Nas, Timberland, like, come on, bro.
Yeah, but
like I understand that people are saying they're gonna say they don't like it. They're gonna say that they got a little bit too much. What you call it?
It got a little too much sauce on that. Like it's not Nas. You know what I mean?
It's not made you look.
Right.
And made you look is different, but it's like it's still. But what we say, but what I'm saying is, in a nutshell, it's like it's like when an artist shows his range, he gets a little bit of flack for it. It's like Nas needed to do those things to just show that he had the range, because remember what had happened after the second album. The second album catapulted him to superstardom.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So he had to maintain some of that superstardom in terms of like the features and the type of records that he needed to do to kind of maintain that superstardom before he started to say, okay, I've had enough of that. Now I want to go back to the street. It it's one of those things. Like at least he has the ability to do that, and I think we were looking for Kendrick to give us something similar. We kind of got that from this record. I guess the question is, like you said, can he continue to be able to do that without being inspired by Drake? And that's the situation here. It's like, you know, can the next records come out that are not about Drake and do as well? Because what we're noticing also with the Metro and the Future joint, I read something where folks were talking about they're having some struggle selling out some tour dates. And, you know, again, the question is that if it's not about Drake and if it doesn't feature Drake, does it still perform as well?
So what is the reason behind the Future and Metro not selling out these shows?
I think the people have moved on. Remember, because I think the people remember initially the song that was doing all of the numbers was the Future, Kendrick and Metro song. Now that everything is shifted from that song,
right?
I think everybody's kind of like, you know what I'm saying? Like
but
now it's shifted from that.
But normally, like when you do a show, you don't normally pay attention to those things. Normally, like I'm gonna go see this artist because they got a bunch of records. I'm a fan of them, and they have a bunch of records that I like from them, and I want to go there and hear the records. Like, are you saying that they didn't have anything else that people could gravitate towards? Because we're talking about Metro, we're talking about Future. They got plenty of hits together. So I'm wondering.
You see my face, right?
Yeah, I see your face, and the comments are going to be on.
Comments are going to come for me. You see my face.
Yeah.
Look, I'm gonna get crucified for it, but a lot of it is mid, man. And I think people are realizing it. You're not going to be able to come off the lyricism of what just happened with Aubrey, Drake, Graham, and Kendrick Lamar, and then go back to that. The music is just not the same, bro. It's not. People will look at those. People will compare these two top artists, Drake and Kendrick, and when you look at the rest of the playing field and look at the rest of the landscape, you'd be like, God damn, the rest of that shit is really mid.
Yeah, but
in comparison.
Yeah, but I think there's different audiences.
No, and
where are the Future fans at?
They're playing video games. They're not going to no fucking concert because they got no money. You know what I'm saying?
But
you know what I'm saying? Like they play video games.
But he sold out shows before.
Yeah, like it's before, man. It's before when the machine can press the button on you, man, and make you feel like you hot. When the machine got the thumb on the button, and the machine, when the machine can brainwash you to think that the mid is actually really hot, shit is mid, and it's been mid. You know what I'm saying? Like this is the thing. Like it's been mid, man, and it's no disrespect to it, but it's like, you know, it's a very regional sound, and they should do what it do in that region. You know what I'm saying? That's what they do. You know what I'm saying? But this national and critical acclaim that it's been garnering, that shit's all fabricated, in my opinion. That's my opinion, and I know people are going to come for my neck, but I'm just saying. Well, listen,
you have the numbers to kind of back you up on this anyway. So
no, I don't listen. The people going to say that people like the numbers don't matter to these folks. That's another thing too. That's what I realized too.
But it's not selling out, so there's got to be a reason why those shows are not selling out.
They're not going to sell out, bro. It's because this is listen, like people are not realizing, like, you know, his last few big releases were with Drake. Remember the joint albums with Drake? Like, come on, man. Like, let's really think about that now. You're removing Drake from that now. It's one thing when you had it going, you had your own situation going, then you got with Drake, you made your situation extend even further. Now you diss it. Now you diss him. Right? Most people are going to choose a side. right? Like kind of like what they did with the Kendrick and Drake. They chose Kendrick, right? So now when they chose Kendrick, Kendrick's music gets elevated. Drake's music kind of gets suppressed a little bit, but because he's so big, you can't really suppress him. But everybody else, any other artist would have suffered greatly.
So you're saying half of Future's fans are Drake fans,
Shit.
and
That's what I would.
and they're no longer showing up.
What's the reason for it? Where's the hit record?
So he lost Drake's fans that would have normally supported him.
Where's the hit record?
Yeah.
Like, where's the hit record? Like, you know what I'm saying? The record that record to me did well because it's about Drake, bro. You remove the Drake, you remove all of this, you remove all of the hoopla around Drake and let it stand on its own, and it doesn't. It won't. It just doesn't. Like, it just doesn't, it doesn't have that type of sound. It doesn't have those type of lyrics. It doesn't have those type of hooks. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this stuff is, a lot of this stuff is mid. I'm trying to tell y'all, a lot of this stuff is mid. If Kendrick Lamar decides to drop a project that's anywhere close to the record like They Not Like Us right now, if he can get a cohesive work that gets close to giving us quality Kendrick and giving us this type of bop throughout his project, which I don't know if he's going to be capable of doing that, but if he's able to do that, the sound of the music industry shifts. That shit is going to shift. And what's going to happen is that now the people who, you know, the people who were just kind of listening to music for vibes, that's going to start kind of diminishing over time. It's like you can't possibly just finish listening to Euphoria, Meet the Grams, and all of this shit, and then decide you want to listen to Future. No shade. I'm just being honest. There's no shade.
I think it's just different audience. I don't think.
Yeah, I'm just.
I don't think the people that were listening to Kendrick and Drake beef and them rapping, I don't think those are the same. That's the same audience that listens to Future at all.
I think that initially it wouldn't be, but because of the way social media is engineering people's brains and the way that it influences people, it can really get people to say, okay, you know what? I normally don't listen to Drake and I normally don't listen to Kendrick, but because the media got me going in a frenzy right now, let me listen to it. And then when you listen to it, if you happen to like it, you're not going to really go back to that.
Because it's funny enough, because I was seeing people posting this Kendrick record and even some of the Drake records too. And they don't post hip hop or they don't post rap. You know, they like, and they're listening to like, yo, this is crazy. Like, it's like, it sort of did remind me of New York City when Ether dropped, and New York City was at a standstill, and cars were playing Ether, and everybody was kind of just at stoplights and looking at each other, and because they played it like at a time it was like rush hour or something. Like it was crazy.
It was crazy.
And everybody had their radios blasting. You were hearing the radio all throughout like people were calling in from California, like different artists, like, hey, what's going on in New York? I'm hearing things, what's going on in New York? Like it was crazy, it was a standstill. It was the biggest talk of hip hop. And the same thing happened, maybe even more, when Kendrick's record came out and it started to start moving.
Yo, listen here, man. All I can say is it was going to be a shift in this music industry. It was coming, and I think it started from the Killer Mike Grammy win. I think that the shift in hip hop was coming, and then look, even the whole concerted effort to go against Drake, they want it to shift. They want hip hop to change. They want it to shift. They want it to change into a different direction. So this is the whole thing why they say, okay, let's pass it all to Kendrick. Okay. If Kendrick is the guy, I'm not mad at that, because then that means that we're supposed to get better music. We're supposed to get better lyrics. We're supposed to get better tracks, better beats. Like all of that is supposed to get better. It's not supposed to be this mid-level music that we've been kind of passing off as top tier music for the last 5 years. It's not top tier music. Like it just isn't. Like, people will say, well, you may be out of touch, you're old, whatever. Okay. Listen, because because say what you want to say about us as being old and so forth and so on, but in our day, you couldn't have survived with this type of music. Your phone wouldn't ring.
Yeah,
your phone wouldn't ring. You just look at, like, somebody would say the competition. We're talking about going into the rooms with Just Blaze. We're talking about going into the rooms with Heat Makers. We're talking about going into the room with Alchemist.
Rockwild.
Rockwild. Like, these are the people that is going to be Swiss. These are the people that's going to be on projects with us. Right? Because if we're on a Jadakiss album, that's who's on that album. If we're on a Pun album, that's who's on that album. If we're on a Nas album, that's who's on this album. Like, are you joking? Like, come on, man. Like, you guys, so you guys got a pass with this thing. You guys, you guys were able to kind of get around, playing with these music and not really having to compete. But now, look, I think that this whole Drake and Kendrick thing is great for hip hop.
I hope it comes back to lyrics.
Listen, that's all people are talking about. Like, all I see people talking about is the lyrics, what he said, how he said it, and I see the dissection of lyrics. I see it, and I'm happy for that. I really do see that.
People are reading. People are
reading again. That's another thing, right? People are reading, right? And then sometimes I think about it and I say, damn, J. Cole really missed out on a good opportunity.
Elaborate on that.
Because he could have really threw his name in the hat, and he didn't have to get real disrespectful with it. He could have really showed his ability as a lyricist, right? I think the only reason why Kendrick went the way he went for Drake is because, I guess Drake might have been a little bit too personal with his fiance and putting her in the music. And it's the same thing with Pusha T. When you put the fiance into the music, then these guys get real crazy and they start talking real reckless. You know what I'm saying?
As they should.
Yeah, as they should. So I think he needs to take that, moving forward, and say, hey, man, like, leave certain things out of it so that we can kind of focus on, lyricism and not really the personal insults.
Yeah. Yeah, the below the belt stuff is just...
Yeah, because you got this guy, basically, they got him as a PDF file over here, PDF file, as they call it. Mm-hmm. And they, and that's a horrible thing to have stuck on you. You know what I mean?
A horrible jacket to wear.
Yeah, it's horrible. So, not to say that Kendrick wouldn't have went there anyway, but, but I just think that J. Cole could have put his name in the hat. I don't know if, I don't think he would have come out victorious, but at least, he wouldn't be disregarded. And I think what's happened is that because he decided to bow out of it, a lot of guys can't even bring themselves to listen to his joints. Like, nah, you bowed out, bro. We can't even listen to you.
You're right.
Like, we can't even listen to you. Like, sometimes you have those moments that make you like, I don't even want to listen to this guy no more.
I'd rather him not even have
said anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
He'd have been better off ignoring it. And that's another thing. Like, same thing with Drake. He'd have been better off ignoring it.
But then we wouldn't have got this. Then we wouldn't have got what we got. You know what I mean? So it's almost like he took one for the culture.
Listen, I think this guy is so strategic. I think he did do that. I think he did take it for the culture. You know, and people will look at me and say I'm crazy like that. Like, oh
Oh
God,
no, man! That man,
you
that man wants to win, man. Drake wants to win.
listen, and listen, and I think ultimately he's going to win. It's just not. It's kind of like what people would say. Hey, you know,
Oh,
Nas won that
won,
ether.
but he won the battle, but Jay won the war.
Jay won the war when he signed him to Def Jam.
We signed the Def Jam.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's you know, for all that for all you know, Kendrick winds up on Gamma.
Yeah. Does he own? Doesn't Drake own?
They won't say.
Yeah.
All your man said is that he's more valuable to the music industry than all the 70s and 80s and 90s music combined.
Wow.
Yeah, man, and that's the joke right now. That's why when I see people in the comments saying, "Oh, you know, Drake ain't this and Drake ain't that," Drake is him. Like,
speaking of Kendrick and his the whole West Coast show, which was something really incredible in a moment for hip hop. What's your view on the game? Like he missed out on that, and
listen, I want to go on record, and I want people to understand. We got music with the game. I had a plaque for the documentary on my wall. Right. I want people to understand that. But the way that his relationships in this music business, I think that has stopped him as an individual artist more than anything else.
yep.
You know, it's not, and not saying that I even knock it, because the industry is full of fuck niggas. Let's just put it that way. Okay. And sometimes you get tired of dealing with all these fuck people, these fuck boys, and the way that they act and the bullshit that they be on. So because these guys act a certain type of way, like, I can understand where you be like, listen, man, I don't want to have to put up with your bullshit. You're not going to sun me. You're not going to treat me this type of way. And I get it. And I understand that to that degree. But when you make those stands that you're not going to fuck with certain people, you have to make sure that you're creating your own infrastructure so that you don't have to ever deal with anything that these motherfuckers is dealing with, or you won't be feeling like you're excluded from their situations. Because if you haven't built enough situation for yourself, then you're going to be feeling like you're excluded from everything. There was no way that he was going to be on the stage with Kendrick, because Dr. Dre, Eminem, 50 Cent have a pact. And that's what it is.
Yeah, he fucked that up.
Yeah. He got a pact. They have a pact. These guys have created the infrastructure. Excuse me. Let me add Snoop Dogg into that. These guys have created the loyalty system. Dre put me on. We don't go against Dre. That's Eminem and Snoop Dogg. 50 Cent said, Eminem put me on. We don't go against Eminem. And because Eminem says not to go against Dre, I don't go against Dre either. And this is what you have. And you have, regardless of how big 50 Cent may have taken his career, regardless if people might see them on the same level as far as peers and accomplishments and accolades, he still falls in line. The same thing with Snoop. Snoop is the biggest artist in the world. You know what I'm saying? But it still doesn't stop him from falling in line when he's dealing with Drake. You got to fall in line. You know what I'm saying? So when we're dealing with the game don't want to really fall in line. He feels that he's on the same level as all of these guys. And, you know, maybe as lyricists,
Right.
but we have to look at the overall situation.
Right.
You're not just looking at it as, hey, I can rap better than these guys, because you can. That's not what puts you on their level. What puts you on their level is their business acumen, their accolades, their acumen for their ability to continue to create more deals, their ability to create more avenues, TV shows, movies. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are the things that these guys are able to accomplish, and that's what puts them on a different level. And if I'm him, I would have by now I would have reevaluated what my career would be if I had just maybe not have been as prideful in doing what I was doing. Maybe, like, hindsight is 2020. You mature. You're supposed to be able to say, hey, I was wrong with this shit.
It seems like he's on the wrong side of history. When it came to like 50 versus like Fat Joe and all those guys,
Yeah.
He sided with those guys, which, when you think about it, how do you go against your home base? Or how do you, and then you got someone like Kendrick, Compton, this is your home base. How do you not side with that? How do you, how do you want, oh, I want to just be neutral but in reality you're not, because you got a record with Drake, so I was wondering, was he trying to be diplomatic and trying to reserve the relationship he has with Drake, realizing how important Drake is and Drake's impact? Was he trying not to upset that? Did he think Kendrick was going to lose? No, is another thing.
So this is funny with him because remember, he has experience. So, like before, like you said, in the 50 Cent situation, he chose the other guys, right?
Right.
Joe, Jadakiss, right?
Right.
Who rocking with 50 now?
Joe, Jadakiss. Yeah, and he's the one that's out on the court.
Who's courtside at the Knicks game? Joe.
Yeah.
50.
Yeah.
That's something that we thought we would never see. Right?
Right.
So what that is supposed to tell him, as a guy who had beef, if Fat Joe and 50 Cent could put it aside, and why can't you and 50 put it aside?
Yeah.
You're supposed to put it aside because your relationship with 50, he did more for you than he ever would have done for Fat Joe.
Yeah.
You're supposed to put it aside, man. And you're supposed to, that relationship should have been repaired so that they could have been.
That G-Unit tour should have been happened.
Thank you. That relationship should have been repaired years ago, before the Super Bowl and all of that. That relationship should have been repaired. This man should have been throwing small olive branches and should have been looking to repair that relationship over the last decade. Like it, you know what I'm saying? We're not saying that you got to be kumbaya, but you should at least be in a situation where you can conduct business.
There's no reason why this whole West Coast thing was happening. This moment is happening,
and he's not involved in it.
He's not involved in that.
Yeah, they try to say that he's, I think he was expecting, and that's why he couldn't be there and this type of stuff. But we know that it's had more to do with the Dre situation and 50 Cent and all of that. Like, you have to choose your side, and he's choosing his side. And did he think Drake would win? Most people would think Drake would have won. Most people would bet on that. Same way we betted on Jay-Z. We need to take over. He was like, God damn it, we got the picture, ballerina. We seen you. You know what I mean? Like, after you start doing that type of shit, you was like, whoa, this guy's unstoppable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then on the blueprint at that, we said Jay-Z's unstoppable right now, because this was an album that was classic from top to bottom. We was like, this guy is unstoppable. Kanye West just banging on the joints. You know what I'm saying? Just Blaze on the joints. This album is incredible. There's no fucking way Nas coming back from this, because we know we was like, he don't pick the right beats and he don't do this, he don't do that. Like, there's just no way. And he just came out with that slapper, man, hit you in the head. So you're like, oh shit. Oh, he come Ether, like, oh shit, we didn't know he could do that. And it's the same thing with the like this shit right here. Like, you know, I didn't think he could do this shit. I ain't gonna hold you. I didn't think he can do it. You know what I'm saying? I'm still not even like the biggest fan of the record, but I gotta be respectful. Like, yo, shit, do what it do. It is what it is. It's not for me, but it do what it do. I can't sit here and act like shit ain't really making an impact. Shit making an impact. You know what I'm saying? So that's how people got to put their bias aside. And what I don't like also too is I don't like how the media, you know, the Joe Buttons, the Elliott Wilsons, and all these guys, they hate Drake, man. Like, just say you hate the motherfucker. Like, stop trying to make it seem like you're impartial.
They can't.
You know what I'm saying?
They got a job to do, man.
Nah, y'all hate him. Like, just say y'all hate him so that we can accept what you're saying versus you trying to make it seem like
they're not gonna say it. They got a job to do, and they have certain people that's paying certain things and ads and all that. They can't fuck up the money. They can't
listen. And yeah, shout out to Academics, to Academics, man. He like fuck everybody.
Ride into the wheel.
Yo, that's that fucking Jamaican. That's that yard boy shit, yo. Like, fuck everybody. Y'all not gonna bully me to do no shit that I don't want to do. I'm riding with homie, and that's it. It's like he don't care. Like, I seen that shit. I'm like, yo, this is just a real Jamaican shit right here, motherfucker. Really. You know what I'm saying? That's probably what the connection is, the Jamaican Canada shit. So you probably like, that's probably why he riding for him no matter what. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, I'm looking at the shit like, yo, I'm looking at shit like, I just don't get it. Like, I see all these videos with these guys praising the motherfucker, and then all of a sudden they hate the motherfucker. Like, what happened? That's what I want to know is what the fuck happened.
It's the music business, man.
Yeah, the shit was all fake.
It's the smoke and mirrors, man. And that's a very good example of what happens. Like, you could be in this and thinking everything is all cool and you're good and every smile on your face, and the next thing you know, nah, niggas don't like you. They never liked you, or something changed, or they don't like your position, or they just don't like you, or they don't like what you're doing. You know, and you may never know until a day like this arrives.
That's exactly what that shit is. Them motherfuckers like, don't like they never liked his ass.
Do you think Drake knew this? Do you think Drake was surprised?
I don't think that he was surprised, but I think he may have felt like God damn it, like, you know, like when a hit record puts a lot of revenue in your pocket, bro. Like, a hit record puts a lot of revenue in your pocket. So from his vantage point, he's like, yo, you trying to tell me that I put this in your pocket? Yeah, and you still hate a nigga?
But you fuck niggas' wives. Broke up their homes and shit.
Listen here, man.
You own these. Yeah, you put a lot of money, but maybe you own half the niggas publishing on the low.
Listen, man. Remember how the shit go, man. It's not yours. It's just your turn. So I don't know why these guys acting all funny like they don't know what the game is. This is the game.
Yo, bitch chose me.
Yeah. This is the game, my brother. You know how it is. Yo, it's the Arkatech Beatz Music Business Podcast, man. Make sure y'all folks is following us at arkatechbeats.com. And all social media is at Arkatech Beatz. You know, before we get out of here, I just want to make everybody just know, like, listen, man, be safe out here. Like, some of this music industry shit ain't music industry. Some of it is real street shit. So, like, just be safe out here, man. Like, you know, and make some better decisions, man.
Yeah, be thoughtful, man. Think about the moves you guys are making, man, and is it worth it in the end? You know what I'm saying?
We losing too many people, man. Too many artists getting. It's just too crazy right now. Between that and the law enforcement, like, it's not really worth it. It's just us being put in chains and us being put in the ground, man. I'm not really with that. Everybody out here, man, just stay safe out here. Until next time.
Peace.
Peace.
Arkatech